Hey everybody, it's the Burnout Network with your race weekend recap for the weekend of April 16th through April 18th of 2021. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series headed to the Richmond Raceway for the INDYCAR 250, and it was all Toyotas yet again. The KBM Toyotas were strong early, marching their way up towards the lead, but they would not get there until after the end of Stage 1. Grant Enfinger and his part-time ride for Motorsport would take that green and white checker. Stage 2, however, would belong to those Kyle Busch Motorsports Toyotas as they would head the field for much of that stage, with John Hunter Nemechek coming through at the end of Stage 2, many people looking at him to close out the race. In the final stage, a few yellows shook up the strategy, forcing those KBM Toyotas to the middle of the pack, but they did not stay there long. John Hunter Nemechek and Kyle Busch drove their way to the front yet again. They would take the lead, and John Hunter Nemechek would not look back. He would win the race, earning the fourth straight win for the KBM team and getting his second victory of the 2021 season. As we take a look at the full INDYCAR 250 results, again, those KBM Toyotas were strong late, finishing first, second, and fourth. Chandler Smith getting some much-needed points there, and Johnny Sauter coming in with a clutch top 5. Same thing can be said for Tyler Ankrum, really needing points if he wants to get back in the playoff hunt. Todd Gilliland also getting a great finish, as well as those Motorsport Toyotas, and I want to point out Sam Mayer there finishing 9th after a run with the Brett Holmes Racing team. Take a look at who didn't get some great finishes on the day. Rafael Lessard, Tanner Gray both finishing a lap down, not able to gain a lot of points there in that final stage. Ryan Reed also coming back driving for CMI in that 49, not the day he was hoping, though we know that truck is not quite up to par. And the Nice Motorsports team cannot catch a break. That number 45 and 40 for Moffitt and Truex not finishing on the day or collecting major points. So let's take a look and see how that affected the Truck Series playoff standings. Still only 2 winners. Both of them now have a pair though. Sheldon Creed, Austin Hill look to be the class of the field without wins as they sit 3rd and 4th. But we've got other strong Toyota teams. Crafton with Thorsport and Friesen with the HFR team. They are running strong as well. Zane Smith, though, not making a lot of noise. He's still 7th in points. And Todd Gilliland and Carson Hocevar still up there competing and beating some former playoff competitors. They look great, but Chandler Smith and the KBM Toyota got a great run, but still not in the top 10. That's going to be a problem if he wants to have a chance at even making the playoffs, let alone competing. On Sunday morning, we head over to Italy as Formula One competes in the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix at Imola. The race started in wet conditions and we saw action all day long, starting with the first lap as Verstappen and Hamilton get together, causes some damage to Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes, but he's able to keep going and hold on to that speed. Throughout the day, we would see numerous drivers not able to keep their cars on track, either sliding or spinning on the slick surface, trying to find speed on the track. The issues for the leaders, however, reached a head when Lewis Hamilton found his way off track and nearly into a barrier, but would he be able to back up, find his way out? Yes, he would, and then we would see a problem that would bring out a safety car and cause controversy amongst the F1 fandom. Bottas and Russell get together, hard contact, both cars heavily damaged, and the debris would result in a red flag to help get the race ready to start yet again. Despite numerous teams having problems, it was those familiar names up front yet again. Verstappen fast all day long, and Hamilton with a fast car able to recover from his issues. Question was who would find their way up onto the podium, and it would be Lando Norris in his McLaren, capitalizing on a great car underneath him and solidifying McLaren's spot in the top 3 of the Constructors' Championship. Speaking of championships, let's take a look at the Formula One standings after 2 Grand Prix on the year. It's Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton at the top, with Hamilton getting a 1-point advantage through 2 races on the season. Moving up to 3rd is Lando Norris after a great podium finish this week, with Leclerc and Bottas filling out that top 5. As we look a little further down there, Sainz, Ricciardo, and Perez all getting points with their teams this season, but not quite breaking that top 5 barrier. But the biggest surprise has got to be Vettel scoring 0 points still through 2 races. That's an issue that's going to be harder to overcome the farther we get into the season here. As we take a look at the constructor standings, it's going to be a battle of the top 4 and then the rest. Mercedes sits up top with 60 points in front of Red Bull at 53. McLaren sitting there with 41. Ferrari taking up 4th at 34 points. We've got a couple other teams getting points so far this season, but they're really battling for best of the rest. Right now, AlphaTauri just ahead of Aston Martin. Next race on the day brings us to Alabama for the first IndyCar race of the 2021 season, the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama, as we have issues on the first lap, major problems after Joseph Newgarden gets off track, spins in front of the pack, and causes a massive incident just one lap into the race. We take another look here, we have massive problems, and thank goodness for that aero screen, as Ryan Hunter-Reay would have likely taken a tire into the cockpit. Luckily, everyone okay, and most drivers were able to find their way around or continue with the limited damage they received, only a few cars out of the race at this point. So we take a look, there was 2 strategies here. Would you make it on 2 stops or would you go for 3? Pato O'Ward taking the 3-stop strategy, Alex Palou and others taking the 2. It split the field in half, and it was a race to see who could manage their tires, their fuel, and keep their track position. Aside from the first lap incident and a quick spin from rookie Jimmy Johnson, we remained green for the rest of the day, meaning the best driver and strategy would take the checkered flag on this weekend. Despite Pato O'Ward's speed, that 3-stop strategy would not work today, and it would be who would be the best on the 2 stoppers. Ganassi looked to have the track position early, and they would hang on to it. Alex Palou would lead the field for much of the day, and in his first race for the Chip Ganassi Racing team, would take the checkered flag in Alabama. Though Power and Dixon finished on the podium in this race, the drivers everyone will be talking about are Palou and O'Ward, 2 young drivers who many think could be the future of the INDYCAR Series. As we take a look at the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama results, Alex Palou with the victory and 2 familiar names behind him on the podium, Pato O'Ward with a 4th place finish despite his strategy miss, and that 5th place finish, Sebastian Bourdais, proving that the AJ Foyt Racing team can succeed if they have the right driver behind the wheel. It'll be interesting to watch him, especially next weekend at a track that he's very familiar with making it to victory lane in. A couple Hondas finishing behind Rinus VeeKay there, with Rahal, Ericsson, and Alexander Rossi just eking out a top 10 here. Roman Grosjean in his first IndyCar race gets a top 10. Great finish for him. Jack Harvey just missing out. And those Team Penske cars not able to deliver today. Aside from Will Power, the other 3 finishing 12th or worse, with Newgarden being involved in the incident. And we take a look at the last page here for the results. All these drivers somewhat involved in that first lap crash. Rosenqvist unfortunately wrecking multiple cars. He does not get points on the day. Same can be said for championship contenders Colton Herta and Newgarden, with Hunter-Reay finishing runner-up on the field this weekend. And we'll take a brief look here at the IndyCar point standings. Only 1 race in, the standings do reflect the results, but it's still interesting to see those point differentials and how deep of a hole each driver may have to climb up to compete the rest of the season. We see Will Power 12 points back already in 2nd, Scott Dixon up there with Pato O'Ward, but the biggest deal is who is not on this list. Colton Herta, 3rd place points finisher last season, as well as 2nd place points finisher Joseph Newgarden, not even in the top 20 right now. They are 40 plus points back, and that means they need consistent runs here, as they've already used a mulligan here just 1 race in. We'll have to see if they're able to climb their way up starting next week. And the last race of the weekend brought us back to Richmond Raceway as the Cup Series took the track for the Toyota Owners 400. The JGR Toyotas look strong yet again as Martin Truex Jr. leads the field to green, and he would lead through to the competition caution, where Denny Hamlin would take over after pit stops, and Denny Hamlin would go on to win stage number 1 down in Virginia. The JGR cars looked strong yet again in stage number 2, leading much of the early part of the stage until green flag pit stops, when Ryan Newman spun on lap 149. That would change the field strategies and bring new cars up into the mix, and some cars would go a lap down and have to take the wave around. Despite the shakeup and differing strategies throughout stage number 2, Denny Hamlin still found his way to the lead and would go on to win yet again in stage number 2, taking another playoff point. As we start the last stage, the number 19 and 11 still look strong and look to be the favorites, but Joey Logano wants to throw his hat into the mix and starts running towards the front and chasing down Denny Hamlin amidst green flag pit stops. Joey Logano would find his way past the 11 on lap 335, and pit stops would continue, shuffling the field up and around as Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano would keep racing for the lead throughout the late stage of the race. That would all change, however, on lap 381 as Kevin Harvick loses a right rear tire. He spins and hits the wall, bringing out a yellow. On the restart, though, Denny Hamlin to the inside, Joey Logano on the outside, and Alex Bowman makes his way up to third. Denny Hamlin gets a great jump, but Alex Bowman makes his way to second and then past Denny Hamlin shortly thereafter. And Alex Bowman gets his first win in the number 48 and his first win of 2021 as he surprises the field there at Richmond. We'll take a look here at the full Toyota Owners 400 results. Alex Bowman, yet another Hendrick Chevy, finds his way to victory lane early in the 2021 season. Denny Hamlin is the bridesmaid yet again, but he continues an amazing run to start the season and has a huge jump on the rest of the field in the regular season points. A couple other drivers of note: Christopher Bell with a great top 5 finish, and Eric Almirola finally getting a good top 10 that shows that he does have some speed in the 10 if he gets any luck to go along with them. Matt DiBenedetto also getting a really important top 10 for that Wood Brothers Ford Mustang. He needs some points if he wants to compete in the playoffs. So we take a look, only 14 drivers on the lead lap here. Ross Chastain finishing out the top 15, being the first driver one lap down. As we take a look at the back half here, we see who really struggled on the day. Not a whole lot of incidents here, so we really see who just didn't have the speed to keep up. Unfortunately, Stewart-Haas Racing yet again, with multiple cars not even in the top 20. They really need to look at their program and see what they can change going forward. Michael McDowell finishing lower. He finally breaks out of the top 16, but he still has that win in the point standings to lean on. Speaking of standings, let's take a look at the full 2021 NASCAR Cup Series playoff standings as they sit. 8 winners currently locked in white here on the standings. After only 9 races, we've already got half the spots taken in the playoff bracket here. Denny Hamlin with an astronomical lead above the cut line, sitting 230 points up. We of course expect him to be running for a championship later this season. As we take a look at the back end of the playoff bracket, Austin Dillon and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in there just above Kurt Busch, who sits on the cut line. Chris Buescher not sitting too far out, and Matt DiBenedetto with some great points today creeps closer to that line. We'll see if he's able to contend further on throughout the season. And that completes our look back at the racing weekend of April 16th through the 18th of 2021. Be sure to check out the race weekend preview video for the next upcoming races. That can be seen on the end card at the end of this video. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and comment down below which finish from this weekend was your favorite. As always, subscribe to the Burnout Network for more great racing content, and until next time, burn it down.